So, as I was saying, you have two IPOs behind you, and now you're an angel investor. Please give us a feel for the two businesses that you created and what it's like to IPO.
Right. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting Bragg. Bragg is outside, but thank Bragg for inviting me again for this great event, and thank you for your coordination also. My name is Teruhide Sato. I'm a Japanese internet entrepreneur. Founded my first company in 1997. That was the first payment company in Japan, together with a company called SoftBank. And then I launched another company called BEENOS. It's an e-commerce conglomerate. It's a group of e-commerce businesses, starting from group buying, cross-border e-commerce platforms, and then we also went public in the same year of my first company, which was 2004.
Wait, did you hear that? 2 IPOs in 1 year.
Oh, it was a lucky year.
It was a lucky year, clearly.
Lucky year. And then I've been running the second company as a public traded company CEO for over 10 years. And then recently, I just launched my new venture capital fund to foster more entrepreneurs, mostly in Asia, in Southeast Asia and India. Based out of Singapore.
Based out of Singapore.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were discussing yesterday, which has been a topic here today, is what's the difference of being a venture capitalist with a background as an entrepreneur? Like having done it and then going in and being an owner and investor.
Well, I think today's session in the morning also was, what's the difference between startups or the corporations? What's the difference, how to look at the early stage of companies. When you look at the Excel sheet KPIs or PL, BS, it doesn't really make sense. So I think really how to, tackle the market, how to satisfy the customers, how to foster the partners, and then you make money at the end. So, whenever I do make investments, I have done more than actually 100 investments for past 4 years, 45 from the US. About 20 from Southeast Asia and India. And actually, I have done also 5 investments in Turkey. But whenever I make investment decision, I just see the founder, talk to the founders, and whether he or she is looking at the long-term strategy or short-term just to build a company to sell. And I'd rather invest in the long-term founders because, of course, acquisition opportunities sometimes come at the end. But I'm not betting on the founders to sell the company. I mean, at the end, yes, it could happen, but not really.
This is an interesting thing. How can you feel? Because I think there's an upstream of buzzwords. Everyone's using the same lingo. And some of the startup ecosystem is becoming commoditized. So having that conversation, really taking the pulse of the entrepreneur, understanding if he or she has the ability to grow global, has the stamina to do it. What's your secret sauce there?
Well, maybe let me also share about my investment thesis so far. So I've been running e-commerce companies, launching companies mostly in e-commerce area, like payment, marketplace, e-commerce businesses. And I found one theory. Well, I could call it as one pattern.
We're listening. Everyone's listening.
Well, there is always a king. There is always king in e-commerce business, which is the marketplace. Like eBay is king. Amazon is not retailer, it's a marketplace. It's a king. Started in the year 1994, 1995. Rakuten in Japanese, a marketplace, the largest one, is a king. Started in 1997. And then Alibaba, started Taobao 2003, and it's becoming the largest king in the world. And India, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and some of my portfolios also, kings. So king is marketplace. And it has the largest gravity in the market. And each market, regardless the market is, there is a local king. So here, of course, you have Gilgidyo. Takim Binne is also could be considered as a marketplace. And of course, Any11 is now popping up. So, king is the number one thesis. And then second thesis is actually there's queen.
Every king needs a queen.
There's queen always. Queen is payment. So like when you think of PayPal, PayPal is queen, and then when king and queen marry, now it's divorced once again. But it will be tremendous, kind of a empire. And then Alibaba also has Taobao as a king and Alipay as a queen. So as market evolves, the king pops up first, and the queen pops up second, and then after those dynasty has formed, Then there will be princesses.
I love it. The lingo is so powerful. So king, queen, and dynasty.
Dynasty, talking, Ottoman dynasty here also.
Yeah, we're with you.
So the princesses are now coming in other parts of the world, which are like price comparison or affiliate networks that facilitate those king and queen activities. Or also vertical marketplaces, like used car marketplace, real estate marketplace. I'm not only talking about classified, but it's becoming more transactional. Like when you look at India, India now, the marketplace, lots of Maharajas, actually 5 or 6 Maharajas, really. And I think there will be 5 or 6. It's not only one single king, like as it is in China, but there will be multiple kings. But also those princesses are popping up with a great traction. So I think after king and queen, there will be multiple princes. And that's actually what I'm also looking for in this market in Turkey too.
So in terms of your investment, if you translate your thesis into your deployments, do you try to invest in the whole dynasty, king, queen, prince, and princesses?
It also depends on the market and the readiness of the market. Like prince can only evolve after the payment is settled. So let's say when I did my investment in Indonesia, I invested in king and queen. And king became the largest marketplace in Indonesia called Tokopedia. And we just raised another $100 million from SoftBank and Sequoia. And then I also incubated a payment company. So now payment is facilitated in that market. So now princesses can come. So it depends on some components or readiness of those components to support those princesses. But now in Turkey, we have very high credit card penetration, good logistic, and then user readiness to buy online, anything. So I think it's really a good timing for princesses, which is mostly vertical marketplaces.
So my question is, on the payment side of your dynasty, do you see that there will be localized solutions in most markets?
Yeah. I think payment and marketplace is really local.
The marketplaces, I think we intuitively understand that they are, but will we evolve into a globalized payment model?
Well, especially in emerging market, I think payment business is pretty local because you have to connect to the local financial institutions, which are mostly banks or acquiring banks. You also have some local regulations. That's, when industry becomes larger or when the company becomes significant size, then there would be some regulations. And then the local regulators tend to put some protections for, let's say, transaction data or licenses. So I think that's also happening in Turkey, and that's also happening in Indonesia or China, of course, and also India. So then that brings payment business a little more for local world. So that is actually good for the local companies who build a payment business here. Actually, well, to be honest, I also have done my investment in one payment company called EasyPay. It was 2 years back. So I thought, that could be another queen in this market and the region. So that's my thesis.
That's your thesis. Well, now that we have your thesis, and I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, if we would like to come and pitch our ideas to you, is it no point if we're outside of the payments marketplace?
No. But I would prefer the platforms that facilitate or that foster or that empower individuals or SMEs. I think the power of the internet is actually the power shift to small guys, like individuals or SMEs, not from the big guys. So I think the beauty of marketplace model, it's not only the product marketplace, but it's like service marketplace. Uber can be also considered as a marketplace, yes. Right? It fosters small entrepreneurs to make more money if they try to. So I think those businesses can have exponential growth opportunities because it creates jobs, it creates wealth, it brings more prosperity. So it can combine the stronger network effect. So that is actually the area that I'm pretty much focusing when I'm making investment.
Interesting. And Dave said this morning that he's not interested in business plans, he's interested in marketing plans. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's very true. But I really enjoyed Dave's
Who doesn't?
speech today. It was really interesting.
But I think I see in my work in the Middle East a lot that marketing tends to be an afterthought, and it's potentially something that you buy. You raise capital to buy ads or advertising instead of really understanding what is the emotional need that I'm creating and how do I create marketing around that.
Right.
How do you coach your businesses into?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not coaching to my portfolio companies because they are the entrepreneurs who popped up from the ground in those markets in every country. And I also even invested in Myanmar. It's an online travel agency company in Myanmar. And Myanmar as a country has been somehow really isolated for many years. But he launched his company 3 years back, and it became the pretty significant size market business in Myanmar. And I asked him, how did you start your business? And he said, somehow, right? How did you raise your money? Then he said, somehow. This is the entrepreneur,
Brilliant.
Serious.
Yeah.
So I think in each market, the business model is different. And then business tactics will be also different, but also there are a bunch of similarities in the similar business model. Let's say marketplace, I would say 60–70% of the marketplace strategy, tactics, how to compete against the big giants are similar. But 30–40% are very local. What I do, I don't teach. I cannot teach entrepreneurs because you cannot grow entrepreneurs from the classrooms.
No.
I don't buy that idea. But those who are fighting on the ground, who popped up from the ground, and having the similar problems or opportunities, or building similar businesses, I put them together. So like marketplace founders from each country, I put them together from Indonesia, India, Vietnam, Philippines, Turkey, put them together. And then we share the best practices, we share the secret. And then we bring it back to home, do it. So I think this is the way that this is also the beauty of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship are not really asked to become entrepreneurs. They just became. So very keen to learn, very interested in deploying his or her ideas, and very ready for any success or failure. So that is actually the beauty of entrepreneurship. So I think what I'm doing is really see the founder's view, whether it's long-term or not, see the timing, and if the founder is good, I just decide my investment in the first meeting. And then connect all my friends to try to do the similar, but in other parts of the world, so that we can foster, we can learn each other. So that's what I'm doing. So.
And so far, very successfully, so.
Well, hopefully.
We've been discussing a little also about the ecosystems, and that being in the right type of context has an impact for the mental mindset, but also the long-term viability of a business. So in terms of ecosystems, the Silicon Valley is a mindset, state of mind is what Dave McClure said this morning. And in emerging markets, it's less so, which means that we need to create clusters that are supportive, push each other, friends meet, have sounding boards, etc. And I have a theory about the importance of the broader society in each country's understanding the hardship that the entrepreneur goes through. I think when entrepreneurs have mothers and fathers who are going, you need a proper job type of thing, that's very, very unhelpful for the ecosystem. Right. Are you involved at all in supporting general ecosystems?
Well, yeah. In my mother country, I'm from Tokyo, and I co-founded one of the first accelerator, which is pretty similar to YC, in Tokyo 5 years back, and we have incubated over 50 companies, and hopefully we get a first public traded company going to public next year. So. Yes, in my mother country, that I understand the most. I do that, more like incubation or those programs. But in other markets, like in Turkey, India, Indonesia, I'm foreigner. So all what I can do, talk to the founders again, believe in the founders, take the risk, share the information, be accessible for any kind of discussions. That's it. and then connect my friends. So then, of course, I have done 5 investments in Turkey, right? And then those guys, of course, learning each other. And then my Indian friends or Indonesian friends also learn from Turkish entrepreneurs. So that's the only thing I'm doing, and I have some limitation in my time, right? Of course. So that's one. And talking about the ecosystem, I think Turkey as a market, of course, it's pretty similar to Singapore. I live in Singapore now, and Singapore is a hub. Singapore is a gateway to the market like Southeast Asia or India, right? Or it could be also market entry point to Greater China. So it's a hub country, so that you can meet any people in Singapore. But Turkey is more than that, because it has a market. So it can play as a gateway or the center point of the region, and also it has a market. So most of my companies that I invested in Turkey, of course, they have built their first business in Turkey as a local company, but I'll try to develop other region. I think that is really given to Turkish startups. It's not given to other markets like Singapore. Singapore is small, only 5.5 million population. Now here it's a large market. So there will be much more opportunities as long as there will be constant risk money flowing in. So that's actually what I'm also trying to do, and that's also everyone else is trying to do.
Now there's a huge opportunity in that, of course. So could you share your insights into what the other emerging markets have, and where's the next big thing coming?
Yeah. Well, I think India comes really, or India is coming. India will be for sure next China, having this 1.2 billion population, massive talents, and then massive risk capital flowing in. But moreover, what I see interesting in India, and also what I see interesting here, this is a sign of the timing when I make an investment. The timing that the, let's say, so-called NRIs, non-resident Indians, who have worked in the States for over like 5 years, 10 years at Amazon, Google, eBay, those, they started coming back to India 4 and 5 years back, right? So the local entrepreneurs have a good nose to smell the timing. So they abandoned.
The opportunity's coming.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the timing, exactly the timing that I tapped in India market. And then actually 4 out of 5 portfolio companies in Turkey actually, how to say this non-resident Turkish, like living in Germany, US, started coming back
the diaspora
to Turkey. So I think that's a good sign, because local entrepreneurs know the local opportunities the best. So I think that's really happening.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I think we see it a lot, the diaspora, both as entrepreneurs coming back, but also as investors.
Yeah, that's true.
Understanding that the opportunities in their home markets is coming.
Yeah,
so it's both hard and national, but also stuff is going down.
Yeah. Great future.
So we have lunch now. Can I invite the entrepreneurs that are here in the audience to come and speak to you if they have an opportunity?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you.